I don't know, but yeah, that's my favorite. Oh, yeah. Hey everyone, it's Kara Dixon with Candid with Kara, and we are going digital. So today we have Scott Taylor. Scott, can you tell me what you're running for?
What's going on? It's good to be candid with Kara, of course. I'm Scott Taylor, and I'm running for Congress.
All right, so how are you doing with second district, right?
Yep.
Yeah. How are you doing with quarantine?
Well, it's a mixed bag, I guess. Obviously, in the campaign, everything goes to digital and old school methods, as well as like writing and delivering yard signs, stuff like that. That's fine. I don't mind, but I'm also having a great time because I've been teacher to my 7-year-old son for a couple months now. And, thank God he's not in like 7th or 8th grade math or something like that. I'd be struggling, so I've had a really good time, spending a lot of time with him. So it's not been bad.
Any funny stories about teaching him, or what's he like as a student? Is he like a great learner, or is he giving you attitude, or?
He's much smarter than I am. There's no question about it. His mom's a scientist, and so hopefully he's got her looks and her brains, and he'll be fine. He gets frustrated sometimes, but especially when he's hungry. He got that from me. I get hangry sometimes, but he's not a bad student. He's pretty good. It's hard to keep him on task, just like any little boy, because he's like ready to play Fortnite or ready to go and hang out with his mates and stuff like that. And quite frankly, he's living his best life on quarantine. He's living his best life because he's not at school all day. He gets to hang out with his friends, play Fortnite. We live near the beach. He's on the beach, so he's having a good time, and I'm also having a good time spending with him.
Can you just tell me a little bit about yourself? What do you want people to know? I know a lot of people probably already know who you are.
Well, you're going to reintroduce. No. So like I grew up on the Eastern Shore, just over on the Maryland side, working on a farm at age 11. And, I was raised by a single mother. We were poor. We didn't have any money. We had 4 kids in the house. It's really tough for her. I was in trouble very early on, already on probation at like age 12 or something like that. But, and so she signed me up for a program called Big Brothers, Big Sisters, which quite frankly, my big brother, Andy, obviously Big Brothers, Big Sisters, a mentorship program. He really changed the whole trajectory of my life, and, took me under his wing and instilled confidence and self-worth in me that enabled me to leave that small town, no stoplights, go become a U.S. Navy SEAL, spend time there, start my own businesses, serve as in the House of Delegates, which is a huge honor for me. And then of course in U.S. Congress, and then use my GI Bill to get an undergrad at Harvard. And we'll talk about my thesis. I just finished up my master's, so I graduate virtually next month. So if it wasn't for my strong single mother and my big brother, Andy, you wouldn't be talking to me right now.
What part of Maryland are you from? I went to the University of Maryland, so I have a soft spot for.
Oh, College Park. Now I'm from the shore. So I'm from the Delmarva Peninsula. So obviously having represented Virginia's Eastern Shore, it's very similar culturally speaking. And we have family and friends all the way up and down the Delmarva Peninsula from Delaware to Virginia,
All right. So why did you want to run again? What was it?
Because I like to be called, getting bad names and stuff, right? No, honestly, when I lost, I didn't know what I was going to do, to be honest with you. I mean, I have a lot of, I like being an entrepreneur and stuff like that, and putting deals together and stuff like that. So I remember having a conversation with my son's mother, and I said, people are telling me to run again, obviously, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll just go make money. And she looks at me and she's like, shut up. She's like, I don't even like politics. It's annoying to me. But that's where your passion is. You don't care about making money, and I don't. And she's like, go do it again. And quite frankly, over the past year and a half, whether I was in a grocery store or a gas station or running on the beach, people are like, you got to run again. You got to run again. We're not happy with the direction of the district and the representation, and we want you to run again. Please run again. And so if you're like me and you're sort of motivated by helping people and solving problems and getting things done in the direction of the nation, I mean, you're just drawn to it. So it's like when they're like, please run again, you're like, oh gosh, like, okay, I'm in. So, quite frankly, it was conversations with friends and family, and then just listening to people who I don't know in the district that, quite frankly, my team, more so than me, really helped out. And I'll give you one more example. Where the last election, I was at the polling stations, and there was this guy, and he runs up to me. He's like, "Scott, I've been meaning to meet you. I'm so happy to meet you. I have to tell you something." And I said, "Yeah, what's going on?" And he's like, let me tell you, my father died, and he was a combat vet Marine. And he, when he died, our family was in a flux, and we were trying to get him where he needed to go, his home, which was Arlington Cemetery. And he's like, we couldn't get him there. And he said, and we called your team up, and they immediately put my family at ease. And they got my dad where he needed to be in Arlington Cemetery. And I was like, oh, like, of course you get choked up, and especially if you're a veteran, you're like, oh my God. And when I looked at that guy, and we just hugged. And it was a very, nothing political at all, just a very human moment. And come to find out, he's a big Democrat, right? So he didn't vote for me, like he didn't vote for me before. But that doesn't matter, because that's what this is about, right? It's about helping people, help them navigate through the bureaucracy of government. And so when I hear stories like that, and I hear them all the time, and when we've been campaigning, people have come to our events and stuff like that, obviously pre-corona, and have told their stories about how the team helped them out, and not me, but my team. And when I hear those things, it's like, how do you walk away? I mean, when you can be impactful and help people and solve their problems.
All right. So are you ready?
It's a long answer, but that's why.
Yeah, I get it. So are you ready for the rapid fire questions?
I'm always ready.
What is the biggest issue the country is facing?
We have a healthcare crisis and an economic crisis.
Okay. Biggest issue Virginia is facing?
The same as the country, really. It's a healthcare crisis and an economic crisis.
All right. And if you're elected, what do you hope to accomplish?
Again, I have some unfinished business, of course. I want to get that veterans hospital. Is this rapid fire again? sorry.
You can elaborate a little bit. So.
Okay. All right. No worries. I want to get the Ashanti Bill alert, that Alert Act. I want to get that implemented. But that hasn't been done yet. It hasn't been implemented. That's crazy to me. It needs to be saving lives around the country. We got to get that VA hospital that's supposed to be built here in Virginia Beach. We're this close to getting him to announce the contract, but when I left, it stopped. We need a revolution in healthcare, not defending mediocrity and old programs from like the 60s, like Medicaid and all that stuff, and then even the ACA, which is not affordable. But I think that I think this crisis is the opportune time to say, hey, that we need to be using individualized healthcare, more telemedicine, telemedicine's been around for a while, wasn't allowed to be used that much because of the regulatory environment, right? That's all changed now. Things are cheaper now. They can be individualized. We can use machine learning to detect your cancer through your phone, and then it detects better than a doctor can. So we need a revolution there, because it's much cheaper, and it'll allow us to take care of everybody, quite frankly, and at least a basic level of care, not insurance. That's not the same thing as deliverance of care, right? So I think we need a revolution there. We also need a revolution in technology systems in the government. Everything's been disrupted, every single industry except for government services. The VA, when I got there, was running on MS-DOS. And I don't even know if you remember MS-DOS. Most people don't even remember it, but it's like what was operating systems from decades ago now. You can't even get parts for it anymore. It's crazy. So this opportunity, while we should have a revolution of change in how to create better government that works for, better for the people and stuff. Right. That's really not rapid fire.
Yeah, it's okay. You had short answers for the first two, so that makes sense. What can residents do to make Virginia a better place to live? Personally, like, what can they do?
Well, I got to tell you, because obviously we're talking about politics here. I mean, we're just in this hyper-partisan time, and the reality is, just like with our conversation with the coronavirus, people are affected differently and unequally, and we need to understand, have empathy for each other and say, look, some of these people are sunbathing and having a good time right during this time. Other folks, their livelihoods, their life's work are on the ropes, if not gone. I mean, and so we have to have this understanding with each other, and everything's shouldn't be looked through a political lens, right? We got to go back to the Virginia way, which when I first started in the House of Delegates, it was one where Democrats and Republicans came together to solve people's problems, as opposed to constantly bickering and fighting about dumb stuff, quite frankly. So that's what we can do. We can reduce the partisan lens from which we look at everything through now.
All right. And you said you're a nerd.
I am a nerd.
What's your favorite book?
Favorite book would be Team of Rivals by Doris Kearns Goodwin. And that's about Abraham Lincoln, of course, and how he brilliantly put his team together of folks who were opposite him or bitter rivals, quite frankly, and made it work and obviously save the Union.
No, I think I have that book actually on Audible, maybe. I have one of her books.
It's a long book, so Audible would be a good, probably better.
If you can meet anyone in history, who would it be and why?
Oh gosh, there are many that I would like to do, but I would certainly love to have a glass of Scotch whiskey and a cigar with Winston Churchill during the war.
You're the first person to say it.
Yeah, because of his, his brilliance, his resilience, and I mean that, that he, obviously there's so many people that go into it, but without his leadership, the world would look much different today.
All right, and the last question: when you were growing up, what did you want to be?
First an astronaut, but then second, because of Indiana Jones inspiring me, I wanted to be an archaeologist. But obviously, archaeology is not as exciting as the Indiana Jones thing, like typically. But that's what it, I was, when I was really young, astronaut. But then really through like high school, I'm like, I wanted to be an archaeologist because of Indiana Jones.
I did too, actually, which because
I have a satchel. I got a satchel. You know what I mean?
I went as Indiana Jones for Halloween one year when I was a kid. My parents probably thought I was super weird. I'm just like,
oh no, man, Indiana Jones is awesome. Even now, like I love adventure. I travel all the time. I've been to many countries, and I'll go anywhere in the world, anywhere in any country. I don't care. I love that. I love the getting in the guts of countries and not just the tourist sites and stuff like that, and adventure. So if there was some kind of treasure to be found or something, like it was like, then I would do it. But I don't want to be like brushing off, things for like months, no, I don't want to do that.
So what is your favorite Indiana Jones movie?
The Temple of Doom. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
That's okay. I don't like that one.
You don't like that one? Which one's yours?
The Last Crusade.
Oh, okay.
I really like Sean Connery. So.
Yeah, Sean Connery's awesome. Yeah. How can you not like Sean Connery? Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, that's my favorite. Yeah. You are getting ready to graduate, and
I thought I was going to walk. I didn't walk from undergrad. I'm like, oh, I'm going to walk this time. And they're like, boom, canceled. So I'm like, oh, virtually,
So you're just going to like walk to your computer and sit down.
I know, like,
that's your walk.
Yeah, so no, but that's cool. I actually had to, when I finished my undergrad, I used my GI Bill, got an undergrad degree from up there at Harvard, which was sort of part distance and part residency. And I was in Yemen most of the time during that, and then in the House of Delegates. So I'd fly to Yemen and then fly to Cambridge. And then I just rolled right into the master's, finished up master's coursework. But my last semester was right when I got elected to Congress. So I had to put it on hold for like 3 years. And then I was running up against a deadline to finish my thesis. And I just finished it last month. So here we go, graduating.
What are you getting your master's in?
It's on international relations.
Okay, cool.
And my thesis is about DOD. So it's essentially the Department of Defense and the expanding hands of artificial intelligence.
3 long years just to watch a virtual graduation.
I know, man. I was ready to go with my tassel. And, oh well.
So if people see you walking around Virginia Beach and you're like capping down
here,
No, like why should people vote for you?
Look, number one, I have a lot of experience in legislating. I got 10 laws that I passed as a state delegate to help veterans in the economy and clean energy and crowdfunding. Technology wise. And then of course, as a U.S. Congressman, I was on the Appropriations Committee, which is the money committee, which allows me to be influential in every committee because every committee that's creating policy needs money. And what that did, and I was the first freshman in the history of Virginia to be able to get onto that committee as a freshman, I was able to bring hundreds of millions of dollars back to Virginia for critical military infrastructure. I was able to help with things like broadband on the Eastern Shore, Tangiers Jetty, NASA, all kinds of things because of that committee. And the reality is in this district, over 40% of our economy is federal spending. So you have to have somebody who has a seat at that table for Virginia and for this district. And if reelected, I'll go right back to that committee with seniority.
All right. That was great.
What'd I say? I blacked out.